Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to Utility Sports. In today's video, we're going to be briefly discussing forward/center Zach Collins of the Portland Trail Blazers, his injury, what it could mean for that team and that roster moving forward. He has yet to play a game this year through their first three games. Obviously, they've looked pretty good. They had a nice win over the Los Angeles Lakers in their most recent outing. But the Zach Collins injury is quite bad news for them. Obviously, he'd been battling that ankle injury. And now, just today, he underwent surgery on that stress fracture on his ankle. And now at this point for him, it's going to be a lengthy recovery time probably. I'm expecting at least a few months. He is out indefinitely. The GM of the Portland Trail Blazers did come out and say that today. And now, quite frankly, at this point, you're going to be looking at increased role for players like Derrick Jones Jr., who obviously got the mid-level exception there in Portland. Also, Carmelo Anthony playing at the four is going to be a bigger role. Robert Covington, who they traded for. And perhaps they were bracing themselves for maybe losing Zach Collins for the year at this point. Zach Collins has been a player who's been very injury-prone in his career, unfortunately. He suffered some interesting injuries as well. I believe he had a face fracture at one point, missed some games for other ankle issues as well in the past. And now you're just looking at a Portland Trail Blazer team that was hoping to have him. They moved on from Hassan Whiteside in hopes that he would be back and healthy this year, filling in those number two center minutes behind Yusuf Nurkic, who's been a great re-addition into that starting lineup since he's been healthy. I just kind of feel bad for the Portland Trail Blazers. They've kind of been, banged up the past couple of years. Obviously, Nurkic missed a majority of the year last year. We saw how good they could be in the bubble once they were healthy. But really, again, this is a little bit of a relapse here for the Portland Trail Blazers. Derrick Jones Jr. has looked good. Carmelo Anthony is fitting right into that role. He's really been a blessing for them since they were able to get him last season. And also, Robert Covington is a versatile forward. He's going to be able to play that 3 or 4 every single night. So that's something that the Blazers have put themselves in a situation to kind of recover from this very well. But at the same time, it's still one of their top 7 or 8 players on that roster out with an injury. You don't really like seeing that. He's, a young guy. They took him 10th overall after a trade with the Sacramento Kings a few years back. They moved up to go get him. Hasn't quite panned out the best just because of the injuries. He's a talented player, a gifted 4 with passing ability, some scoring ability, can hit the glass, but he just has been a little banged up every single season. For Zach Collins' sake, I'm hoping he gets healthy, can really start to impact the game again for the Portland Trail Blazers. Who really knows what his future looks like there with all the injuries? Perhaps they decide that they want to move on from him. Possibly could be traded down the road. But at this point, I think that they're focused on this season still, trying to win games with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. The two of them looked very good to start the year here. They had a really nice win over the Houston Rockets in which Harden went off, but CJ matched him essentially in scoring. Damian Lillard obviously didn't have a great start to the season, but outside of that, he's been playing very, very well in their 2 wins against the Rockets and Lakers. And ultimately, the Blazers are a team that feel like they should be even considered as contenders. This injury to Zach Collins limits their potential to be that, in my opinion. I also was a little skeptical of their actual ability to be true contenders out in the West. But they're going to go in, night out, compete. They're going to push to get a higher seed in the West. We've seen them get to the Western Conference Finals before they lost to the Golden State Warriors without Kevin Durant. But at this point now, it's going to be an interesting road for the Portland Trail Blazers. They're going to have to rely on that newly added front court depth in Robert Covington and Derrick Jones Jr., as well as allowing Carmelo Anthony to accept a bigger role again. Maybe he comes into the starting lineup again. Maybe he's coming off the bench still. Who really knows what that looks like? Maybe they'll have a little bit of flexibility in that lineup. Like I said, Zach Collins hasn't been playing this year yet. So it's not like they're missing anyone that's been playing for them at this point. But still, this is a long-term setback for Zach Collins and the Portland Trail Blazers. Honestly, quite big news. Zach Collins isn't the biggest name, but he is a really important piece of that franchise, that organization. They've been banking on him being back this year. That's why they moved on from Hassan Whiteside, who's only got the minimum now with the Sacramento Kings. But Zach Collins is out indefinitely. I think possibly could see him by maybe March, but that might be a little wishful thinking on my part. It's kind of hard to tell what a stress fracture might look like on that surgery timetable. That's why we don't have a timetable at this point. And quite frankly, there's not been a ton of injuries here to start the year. There have been a few key ones, though, and this is one of the biggest, honestly. It diminishes some of the Blazers' depth, especially in that front court. puts a little bit more pressure on Yusuf Nurkic to be that lone center. That's really going to give them quality minutes this year. And ultimately, the Blazers are going to hope Zach Collins can come back healthy sooner rather than later. I think they would love to have him back before the All-Star break. Who really knows at this point, though, what that's going to look like. That'll do it for this video. If you guys haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you are new to our content. Also, we have merch, so if you guys are interested, that is in the description as well. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.